beautiful Wrigley Field on a hot Labor Day weekend afternoon. We're getting you set for Cubs baseball. They go for the sweep today over the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's the Hyundai leadoff man here on WGN Sports. Hope your holiday weekend is going splendidly. Along with Jim DeShays, I'm Len Casper. The Cubs a 2-0 winner yesterday. Comfortable lead in the wild card race, and Jake Arrieta continues to be the story.
Yeah, it's interesting. Friday, the wind was blowing in. There was 19 runs scored. Yesterday, the wind was blowing out pretty strong much of the day, but Jake Arrieta was not fazed by that. He's not been fazed by anything. He's been on an unbelievable roll. You know, he wasn't quite as sharp early in the ball game yesterday, but once he got locked in, he was pretty much standard issue Jake Arrieta. The changeup, good one there, was a big pitch for him yesterday afternoon. So not only dominant stuff, but very smart out there, very resourceful, and 8 shutout innings, pretty much the norm for Arrieta of late.
Yeah, the word is out, isn't it? 7 starts, he's won all of them, and during this stretch, JD, he's only allowed an earned run in one of those starts. I've never seen a stretch quite like it.
No, it's really remarkable. That 0.36 ERA since August 1st, by far the best in the league, about a run better than the next closest.
So wrapping up the homestand today, Kyle Hendricks will go for the Cubs. A hard-throwing right-hander, Ruby De La Rosa, will go for the Diamondbacks, and we'll take a look down on the farm. We'll check in with Ian Happ, Cubs' first-round pick, coming up next. Drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com. Welcome back to the leadoff man. Let's get a minor league report from South Bend with the South Bend Cubs. Here's Mike Monaco.
Ian Happ is all business at the ballpark. At just 21 years old, the Cubs' 2015 first-round pick carries himself with a quiet intensity and a professionalism fit for a big league veteran. That's nothing new for the South Bend Cubs outfielder.
Always, to fault or not, in high school I had a few guys say, smile out there. You got to be a little bit more relaxed. But I mean, it's just the way I approach the game. I like to stay even no matter what's going on, and I think that's one of the things that's helped me throughout my whole career.
It's that unflinching focus that's fueled Happ. Before he was Chicago's newest treasure in a long line of prized prospects, Happ was a star at Mount Lebanon High School in the Pittsburgh area. He learned from his brother Chris, who's 6 years older than Ian and played collegiately at Duquesne.
Yeah, that was huge for me, him playing before me, getting to work out with older guys. him teaching me everything, about the mental side of the game and what it took for me to play high school baseball and then what it took to play college baseball. It was awesome.
But when it came time for college ball, Happ didn't land at one of his preferred ACC destinations. Instead, he went to Cincinnati, where Chris talked him through a difficult first semester. In the spring, Happ thrived and earned freshman All-American honors. He then parlayed a temporary contract in the prestigious Cape Cod Baseball League into a full contract and 2 All-Star nods in consecutive summers, surging onto scouts' radars.
My first game, I faced Brandon Finnegan and had a couple of knocks. And, that was the moment he was throwing 95 with, plus off-speed pitches. That was kind of the moment when I was like, all right, just keep doing this, I'll be fine.
2 summers later, after 2 more terrific seasons at Cincinnati, the Cubs selected Happ 9th overall in the MLB draft. After a month with short-season Eugene, Happ was promoted to South Bend, where manager Jimmy Gonzalez was struck by 2 things: the ball jumping off Happ's bat and the youngster's quiet focus.
He has a purpose with his work, or whether it's be hitting in the cage or doing outfield work. He's got a purpose. He's got a focus, and that's his main goal. And I think that's what separates players.
For now, Happ is batting 3rd, driving in runs and wearing the blue pinstripes in South Bend. The goal, of course, is to join Chicago's other young talent at Wrigley.
It's a special time to be a Cub. It's a great time to be in the organization. Everyone's really excited about what's going on up top and trying to help. Everyone's trying to get there. And for me, it's all about consistency. If I can keep getting better every day, be consistent with my approach, and the day will come, hopefully.
With a big league demeanor, Happ is on the right track. For the leadoff man, I'm Mike Monaco.
Good stuff, Mike, as we take a look at some nice performances throughout the system yesterday. The Northwest League's Cubs affiliate, the Eugene Emeralds, they need a win today in the regular season finale to have a shot at the Northwest League playoffs. We'll continue getting set for the Cubs hosting the Diamondbacks next. Indiana Hyundai dealers who invite you to test drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com. Welcome back to the leadoff man. We'd like to send our condolences to the family of Stanton Cook, the longtime chairman of the Tribune Company who led the purchase of the Cubs from the Wrigley family. Back in 1980, Stan was a lifelong Cub fan whose leadership brought the Cubs into the modern era. We want to thank him We will miss him. He will be remembered by the Cubs now with a moment of silence.
Ladies and gentlemen, last week the Chicago Cubs lost one of his longtime fans and former front office executives. Stan Cook, former Chicago Cubs chairman and Tribune publishing executive, passed away at age 90. His lifelong passion for baseball and the Cubs would be fulfilled when the Tribune Company purchased the team and named him chairman in 1990. In honor of the life and work of Stan Cook, the Cubs ask that you please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please remain standing and join Wayne and Kathleen Mesmer as they honor our nation with God Bless America, followed by our national anthem.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good vibes in Wrigleyville as the Cubs have a comfortable lead in the wild card race. They take on the Diamondbacks today and looking for a series sweep. Wind is blowing out. It's hot today. Don't know if it'll be a good day to pitch or not. But let's check in on the starting pitchers. It'll be a couple of right-handers today. Ruby De La Rosa and Kyle Hendricks.
Hey, De La Rosa, 12-game winner this year for the D-backs. You see what he's done recently on the road. He's been quite good outside of the desert. 3-0, 288 in his last 4 road starts. Kyle Hendricks, been a bumpy ride for him of late. 6.57 ERA over his last 5.
Hendricks faces the Diamondbacks for the first time in his career. The Cubs try to make it 3 in a row before a big road trip starting tomorrow. Stay tuned. By Budweiser, still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. Honda, great deals are happening at the Honda Summer Clearance Event. Now it's your Honda dealer. Napa, home of Napa know-how. Ford, America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at localfordstores.com. Subway, make a smart play for savers. Well, we are ready to go. A little early. Kyle Hendricks to Ender Inciarte, and outside ball 1 to get us started.
Nobody wants to wait around in the heat.
A 1-0 delivery. This is again. We'll get you the Diamondbacks lineup here in a second. It is hot, 88 degrees as we get started. Called strike. Ciarte playing right.
And Ciarte, a speedy guy. He likes to bunt for a hit, steal a bag for you.
Wind in the 3-1 and the dreaded leadoff walk. Let's get the rest of the Diamondbacks lineup. They put up 5 on the Friday in a blowout loss. Got shut out yesterday, but this offense can score runs in bunches. Pollock, Goldschmidt, couple of all-stars. David Peralta having a fine year. Former Cub Wellington Castillo. Jake Lamb is at third. Chris Owings at second. Nick Ahmed doesn't do much with a bat, but a plus defender. And the pitcher De La Rosa will hit ninth. Here's A.J. Pollock. Very tough luck day for Pollock yesterday. He went 0 for 4. He lined out twice and then hit into a huge 5-4-3 double play in the ninth on a bullet to Chris Bryant.
Yeah, he had a good day and a bad day all at once. Good approach, solid contact, just didn't have results.
And Ciarte getting assistance over there from a former Cubs coach, Dave McKay.
Well, this is a combination that Chip Hale might like to put a little play on with. Pollock has bounced into 19 double plays this year, among the league leaders in that department, and Ciarte, a speedy guy.
He takes off. Pollock swings and fouls.
Kyle, a break-even pitcher so far this year. 6 up, 6 down, 4.15 ERA. This is his 27th start. League bats .258 against him. Lefties a fair bit better than righties.
He's been better at home. 3.69 versus a 4.56 ERA on the road. In the corner, 0-2.
Well, he was clearly missing his spots with Ciarte, but you could tell with the tempo with which he was working that he's trying to set a more aggressive tone here this afternoon. He's very cerebral, very thoughtful guy, and I think one of the things he's trying to do is just be a little bit more on the attack.
Born in Newport Beach, California, 25 years old. And he was just going to hold the ball until somebody asked for time. It is a hot one with the wind blowing straight out to center.
Sinker, changeup, big pitches for Hendricks. Get that sinker down. He'll get a lot of ground ball. Could be a busy day for the guys in the middle of the diamond.
Russell's got to move to his right, so they only get one out. That's the lead man in Ciarte.
Well, let's check in with the Cubs defensively here on this hot afternoon. Coughlin, Fowler, Jackson, left, center, right. We mentioned the guys in the middle. You just saw them, Russell and Baez. The corners are Bryant and Rizzo. Miguel Montero behind the plate. And Hendricks on the mound for the 27th time.
MVP candidate Paul Goldschmidt returned to the Diamondbacks yesterday after missing 2 games due to the birth of his son. And he went 2 for 4. Career .299 hitter, although he's been 300 plus the last 3 seasons, including a career best .324 so far this year. In fact, all his rate stats are career highs to this point. Runner goes, pitches a strike, throw to second. In time, Montero gets Pollock. Snaps a string of 14 consecutive successful steals by A.J. Pollock.
Yeah, Pollock among the league leaders, 33 steals, caught but 6 times. Make it 7 now. Nice play on the other end by Baez. Great concentration, handling the short hop, and then applying the tag.
Montero throws out one of his former teammates. That's a big one with the wind blowing out and a guy like Paul Goldschmidt at the plate. He fouls. And it's 1-2. Cubs back to 20 games over 500, 3-2 on this 6-game homestand. They dropped 2 of 3 to the Reds. And shoot for a series sweep here against Arizona. Called strike 3. Leadoff walk, no damage done. Cubs coming up. Your low fare now at southwest.com. Cubs batting order is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Fowler homered yesterday. Austin Jackson continues to get starts with Kyle Schwarber day to day. Chris Coughlin batting third and left. Rizzo, Bryant, Montero in the middle. Javier Baez off to a good start since coming up from AAA. Hendricks the pitcher, and then Addison Russell the shortstop. And it's right-hander Ruby De La Rosa for the D-backs.
Ruby with two B's. R-U-B-B-Y. Looks like Rubby. Pronounced Ruby.
Ball one.
De La Rosa having a winning campaign. 12 wins against 6 losses. A high ERA, but better in the second half of the year. He has made quality starts for the last 5 times he's gone out. 6-1 with a 3.32 ERA since the All-Star break.
Fowler with a home run, a walk, adding to his already career high totals. 16 homers, 71 walks, 89 runs scored. 2-2 on the switch hitter.
The Cubs managed just 4 hits in the ball game yesterday. They scored on the Fowler home run and a little weak ground ball by David Ross. Something up, off speed in nature, and lifted into the bleachers and left.
We'll get back out of play.
Diamondbacks defensively, very good group. The advanced metrics really like them, among the best in baseball in defensive runs saved. Pollock and Inciarte really stand out in the outfield. Ahmed and Goldschmidt on the infield, stellar players.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Crew chief is John Hirschbeck, and he gets the plate. John Tompane, Chicago area guy, is at first. James Hoy at second, and Bill Welke at third. Fourth straight start for Austin Jackson. Timely acquisition on Monday. As Kyle Schwarber now down for a few more days with the rib cage strain. Not sure when we'll see him next. If it's in St. Louis or possibly Philadelphia. But the Cubs obviously don't want to push him too hard here. Still have a long way to go. Strike 2, it's 1-2.
Yeah, and clearly if you're in a tighter race for that second wild card spot, maybe you handle it with a little more urgency, but they have a comfortable lead. John Hirschbeck showing some generosity off the outside corner there.
Chris Coughlin on deck, just underway, bottom 1. A 0-0 ball game. 2-2, he fouls.
De La Rosa, 4-pitch mix, fastball that top out at 100 miles an hour, but he's usually around 94, 95. Slider, real good changeup, and occasionally a curveball.
Faced the Cubs in May in Arizona, got a no decision. 4 runs in 6 innings, struck out 8. Diamondbacks in general have not gotten a lot of deep starts this year. They've had 65 outings, fewer than 6 innings from their starting pitchers, 4th most in baseball. Jake Lamb will get Jackson.
We've talked about it all weekend long. This Diamondback team, intriguing in that they have a lot of young, talented position players, and for the most part inexpensive ones. A lot of guys that are pre-arbitration, not making a ton of money, so that should free them up to be pretty aggressive this winter in pursuing a big arm or two to join that rotation.
Cubs are 20-4 with Chris Coghlan batting third. Not to claim that that's the reason why they're 20-4, but when he has been in this position in the order, and a lot of it lately, the Cubs have been very good.
Intent on establishing that fastball here early. I expect to see him mix in the changeup, especially against the left-handed hitters.
Second start of the series for Wellington Castillo, a former Cub, so you have to think he was a big part of the scouting report meeting on how to attack these hitters this weekend. Two and two, Rizzo on deck. In the air to left, Peralta barely had to move, and the Cubs go in order, 0-0 after one. Cubs baseball in high definition on WGN is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. You ought to bring your harmonica on the road.
I used to have a harmonica. Didn't know how to play it. I'd bring it into the booth every now and then and blow on it just for fun.
One strike on David Peralta. Ground ball into center. That's the first hit of the ball game. Now Wellington Castillo with his third club already this year. Traded twice. Cubs to the Mariners. Mariners to the Diamondbacks. Been terrific with his current team. 15 home runs in 63 games.
Yeah, he has the second highest home run at bat ratio in the National League since joining the Diamondbacks.
goes by Kyle. Slide step in the pitch. It's low. And it's 1-1. One of your many theories is, I believe, that a guy like Castillo would benefit from having caught Kyle Hendricks.
Yes. I have a battery mate theory that catchers, when they face pitchers that they've caught, especially guys they've caught a fair bit, used to seeing the ball. They get a good feel for the break on the pitches, how the guy likes to attack hitters. I have no supporting evidence other than years of watching and going, hey, it seems to me, ...
1-2. Cubs' next opponent is the division leading St. Louis Cardinals, and they will host the Pirates tonight. We could probably go to the game if we wanted to. Garrett Cole and John Lackey.
Hendricks taking a lot of time there with Peralta down at first. Peralta, he's not a great base stealer, but he's capable, worth keeping an eye on. Those two teams, Pittsburgh and St. Louis, have split the first two games of that series. Oh my, almost hit him in the hip. Castillo hearing it from Bosio after pulling that ball toward the Cub dugout. He was either going to hit it or it was going to hit him.
2-2 to Castillo. Two teams closest to the Cubs, chasing them in the wild card race. Both won their games yesterday. The Nationals and the Giants, who snapped a 7-game losing streak. So the Cubs maintaining a 7.5 game lead over the Nationals, 8 over the Giants, and now 3 back of the Pirates for the top wild card position. Great note from stats. The Cubs winning percentage right now in the year is .575. If they finish at that winning clip or higher, full count 3-2, that'll be an all-time record winning percentage for a third place finisher in a division. So division era goes back to 1969. The 78 Brewers, the 02 Mariners both win 93 and 69. I think that's a .574 winning percentage. Runner goes, Castillo fouls. So if you're sitting there at home thinking, I can't remember too many third place teams being this good, well, you're right.
You're right, yeah. Pretty rare. The only other third place club in baseball that's above 500 is the Angels. They're one better, 68 and 67. Chip Hale starting his base runner here. Confident that Castillo could put the ball in play or take a walk here on 3-2. Good lengthy at bat for Castillo as Hendricks kind of away, and now in, fouls him off the other way. Peralta on the run again. Getting his sprint work in here. It's the key for Hendricks. You saw a good look there at that pattern. Everything either outside edge and away or inside, right on the edge, in on the hands. Nothing in the middle. Margin for error obviously smaller when you don't have plus stuff. Kyle, his average velocity is in the upper 80s.
Peralta runs again. Line shot at Baez, and what does he want to do? I think he'll just tag him. 2 outs.
So a caught stealing in the first inning. Now a line out double play with a man in motion. It's enough for Chip Hale to shut his guys down, perhaps. And my goodness, we got to stay put and just swing it.
Try the old A-Rod. A-Rod did that against Bronson Arroyo. One and 0 on Jake Lamb. Two balls, no strikes. Lamb came off the bench Friday. 2 for 2 with a 2-run homer. 1 for 3 yesterday. "24 years old. Product of the University of Washington. 6th round pick, 2012.
He was their minor league player of the year last year. Good for a high average, decent power numbers. Cub fans, let's go. Don't miss the stretch run here at Wrigley Field. The Cubs return home for the final homestand Friday, September 18th. The Cardinals, Brewers, Pirates, and Royals are in town. To purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. The Royals a makeup from earlier this year with a rain out. So if you're looking at your schedule, your pocket schedule, and say, I don't see Royals. It's just a 1-game makeup at the end of the homestand.
Rizzo can't get it. Jackson will retrieve on the warning track, and Lamb has a 2-out double.
Oh, solid contact here for the D-backs in the second. Base hit Peralta. Line out to Castillo now. Line double into the right field corner for Lamb. This kid's got a good looking swing.
Second hit of the inning. Chris Owings, also just 24 years old. The Diamondbacks, did you know, have the youngest roster in baseball?
I did not.
Age 26 years, 348 days.
I did not know that. I'm not surprised to hear it. So they got a lot of these position players that are just entering the primes of their careers.
Two balls, no strikes. Nick Ahmed is on deck. Swing and a miss. 2-1.
Good change up there from Hendricks. Two options for Kyle when he's behind in the count: either try to paint with that fastball or throw the straight change. At times during this stretch, last 7 or 8 starts for Kyle, and the command of the sinker hasn't been there for him. Obviously doesn't want to make mistakes out over the plate, so he'll work off and down. If hitters are patient, they'll work some walks against him.
3-2.
Which, is not normally the case for Kyle Hendricks. He typically has very good control, but his walk rate in the second half twice as high as it was in the first half.
3. in 5 innings his last time out against the Reds. He struck him out. 2 of them both looking to end an inning. Anthony Rizzo has been a very resourceful player, not only as a base runner, but defensively as well. Just a few examples of that. And the Speed Replay is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
Yeah, he has been outstanding in all facets.
In total, according to Baseball Reference, worth almost 6 wins above replacement. It's terrific. Chopper to Ahmed.
Still my favorite Rizzo play of the year was the slide into third base when he gave the foot and then pulled it back. Tag was missed and slipped back in. And the shot of him saying it's magic.
New York, right? When Joe brought in the magician.
Yeah. That was during the magical phase of the season.
One strike on Chris Bryant. He's 1 RBI away from tying the Cubs rookie mark in a single season. 3 homers away from that record. And maybe his most important defensive play of the year came in the 9th inning yesterday, with Paul Goldschmidt on deck. A.J. Pollock hit a screamer on the ground to third, and he and Baez teamed up for a 5-4-3 double play to help out Hector Rondon. And it came a few days after the big error he made against the Reds.
Yeah. Yep. In a late game critical situation, that one got through him. He said that's the nature of baseball. Baseball gives you moments, takes things away at times. And remember, he started the game in the outfield yesterday, and that was his first chance at third base.
Good point.
Let's go gold. Through September 19th, Cub fans have the opportunity to take part in the fight against cancer by helping raise funds for Lester, Madden, Mott, and Rizzo's foundations in support of pediatric cancer research and awareness. The top contributor from each organization will receive 2 tickets. Also throw out a ceremonial first pitch at the September 20th game. Visit Cubs.com/letsgogold for details.
Former Diamondback Miguel Montero. First and only start this weekend. 2-time All-Star, 9 seasons with Arizona's big league club before he was Traded to Chicago over the winter. Thought he and Castillo handled the 3-catcher scenario very well. Wasn't easy on Castillo because he was the incumbent. David Ross was brought in to be the primary backup. And Montero's playing time was cut into just a little bit early in the season, and he's used to playing a lot. Joe kind of got accustomed to having 3 catchers available, so now with Kyle Schwarber, even though he's day-to-day, I think moving forward he likes that roster setup.
And the difference obviously is because Schwarber can go out there and play the outfield, so it's an ideal situation where you've got a guy who will get most of his at-bats, if not all of them, the rest of the way as an outfielder, but still has the ability to either make a spot start behind the plate or come in if you decide to pinch hit for one of your other catchers earlier in the ball game. That's the ideal situation with that 3rd catcher. In the previous situation, you had 3 catchers, and basically all they do is catch. Ultimately was going to prove to be unworkable.
De La Rosa will work from the stretch for the first time after walking Montero, and he faces Javier Baez. Off to a good start since coming up from AAA Iowa. This is his 4th start this week, and only 2 strikeouts and 14 plate appearances. We've seen contact and some good contact. He has already homered. The 0-1. Big swing by Javi.
Joe said that he spent some time debating the lineup today. He was thinking about Tommy La Stella. The left-handed batter's hitting more than 100 points better against De La Rosa than righties. But he just likes La Stella having that bat available off the bench. Felt like he would have been really short on his bench if La Stella were in the starting lineup.
Kick the 0-2, and that gets by Montero on his way to second on a ball that almost hit Baez. It's a wild pitch. Now a runner in scoring position. Just missed. So here's the thing, right, with mechanics. You're never going to get Javier Baez to not swing hard. He's a hard swinger. We know that. But wind blowing out, you got a 2-out situation here. The key is that he doesn't come out of his mechanics, right, like he did the other day against Chapman.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with swinging hard. You just don't want to swing too long. You try to be short to the ball, especially where a base hit drives in a run and guys throwing 98 miles an hour.
3-2, good eye.
He's just trying to take a quicker path to the ball in certain situations.
Trying to quiet things down with the leg kick, the front foot, getting down in time. It's been a process this year. They might not throw him a strike here with the pitcher on deck. Well, they did. And he sends it in the air to right. And Ciarte hauls it in. 2 in the books, scoreless from Wrigley Field.
Baby, don't you wanna go to that same old place, sweet home Chicago?
Along with Joe Madden, log on to WGNTV.com right now. Click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner. Connect to all the up-to-the-minute stats and information while you watch from home. Game Zone is sponsored by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Everything you need to have more fun at home this summer and early fall.
Third inning, Diamondbacks and Cubs, no score. Got a note from Ryan Carr, big Cub fan from Decatur, Illinois. Parents George and Gwendolyn celebrating their 35th wedding anniversary. And the whole family is here today, so congratulations, happy 35th. And a happy birthday wish goes out to Walter Drobina, happy 84th. Ahmed, the shortstop. Strike one. Always an incentive to win, but the Nationals are blowing out the Atlanta Braves today. So if the Cubs want to maintain their cushy 7.5 game lead, it's like they're going to have to pull out this one and sweep the series. Boy, the Braves, yikes. They have lost 11 straight and they're staring at 12 in a row if they don't make a big comeback. Ooh, Ahmed just got hit by that pitch.
Yeah, he bunted at it. He's going to be sent back. He's going to argue that he pulled the bat back.
Here comes Chip Hale. Call made at first by John Tumpain.
Yeah, John Hirschbeck, signaled, I believe, hit by pitch, but as he did, he jumped out and he looked down at Tumpain and said, did he bunt at the ball? And Tumpain came in and said, yeah, he did.
What do you think?
I think he probably pulled it back.
He's in the process of pulling it back. I would tend to agree with you.
He did not bunt at that ball. I think the Cubs are going to catch a break here.
Now, see, I don't think Nick Ahmed has any idea if he actually was pulling the bat back or not, but he knows his intention. And that's, I think, why he's arguing, going, John, I'm about ready to get drilled right in the midsection. I'm not trying to bunt that ball. So 1-2. Yeah, not only does he bat continue, that was a strike because he swung at it.
Yeah, if I were Ahmed, I would argue, can't we just have a do-over? Sorry, that doesn't work here.
There's a change-up. And it's 2-2. Pitcher on deck, De La Rosa. Backhanded play. Bryant takes him into foul ground. He bounces the throw, but it's a strike to Rizzo.
Nice play by Bryant. A little bit tougher for him to stay down there. He's so tall, but he does, and then zips it across the diamond on a hop to Rizzo.
Strike on De La Rosa. Soft liner. Jackson will handle it.
Cub fans, don't miss your chance to catch the best matchups in baseball. Reserve your place in line for history in the making. Join the season ticket holder waiting list. It's easy. It's free to register. For details, stop by Cubs.com/waiting list.
Ciarte walked to start the game. Man, he started a terrific double play turn yesterday on a line out to right. Spun and fired a strike to Paul Goldschmidt as they doubled off Austin Jackson.
Watch how quickly he gets turned back the other way to make this throw. He's setting his feet as he's catching that ball.
Talk so much about playing defense and base running and just anticipating and not having to think about what you're going to do. As Baez can't handle it, and that's an error to keep the inning alive.
Up into the heel of his glove, not able to secure it. Let's take another look at Cincinnati out there. Look, as he's catching the ball, he's turning his body. Boy, that's tough to be accurate. Drifting one way, throwing back in the other direction. Beautiful play.
Yeah, that is one of the best we've seen this year. Pollock. Line and caught by Russell.
Pollock needs a new bat order.
Scoreless in the third. At WGNTV.com, sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. Hey, a big happy birthday wish. Number 40. Welcome to your 40s, Derek Lee. With his beautiful wife, Christina. 40 years old. One of my favorite players. And I think a lot of Cub fans out there would say the same thing about Derek Lee. A guy who reminds me of Derek Lee. Paul Goldschmidt will flip to De La Rosa to get Hendricks.
Hey, he's getting a little birthday badge. How about that?
And tweet us your Cubs selfies at #WGNCubs. We will be featuring members of our WGN home crew today. Paul Anastroba, Skip Ellison. #WGNCubs. So Derek Lee's 2005 season. Could have won the MVP. Finished third that year. Won a Gold Glove. Won a Silver Slugger. Won a batting title. Here's Addison Russell. Strike one. 158 games. Derek led the National League with 199 hits. Major League leading 50 doubles, 46 homers, 107 knocked in, hit .335 with a Major League leading OPS of 1080. I mean, he could do no wrong. Albert Pujols won the award that year. Andrew Jones finished second. Derek finished third. You know who finished fourth that year? 2005.
Lance Berkman.
Morgan Ensberg.
Oh, Morgan Ensberg, 36 home run year for Ensberg.
There's the bat on strike three.
Folks, take home a game used or autographed item and help benefit Cubs charities. Cubs Authentics is the premier outlet for all MLB authenticated Cubs memorabilia. Visit Cubs.com/authentics to bid on weekly auction items and to pre-order game used bases and baseballs. The Cubs will donate net proceeds to Cubs charities.
And here's Dexter Fowler, and not to belabor the Derek Lee thing, but he never got too high, too low. I thought for a major league player, he handled the day-to-day grind better than anybody I've been around. He'd get upset with himself, but he would quickly let it go. He never got too excited when he had a good day. You mentioned the no maintenance thing. Paul Goldschmidt and Anthony Rizzo. Those guys are managers' dreams. You never have to invite them into the office except to tell them they made the All-Star team.
You don't have to walk by their locker and check in with them daily to make sure they're feeling okay. And
1-2 on Fowler.
You just take a stack of 162 lineup cards and you write their name in the same spot, and all 162 times, and just put it on your desk before the season starts.
Derek Lee batting third. Batting third. Batting third. Batting third. Strike three called. That's a perfect inning for De La Rosa.
Brewed the hard way. This, buds, for you.
And stay tuned for the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Budweiser, still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you, buddy Bob Brenly. We'll head over from the visiting TV booth as Jackson retires Goldschmidt. Yes, dear, you're right. I'm sorry. It's good to have him back here at Wrigley Field. Oh, David Peralta, 1 for 1.
Well, I'm sure the Diamondbacks after the ball game yesterday lamented missed opportunities early before Jake Arrieta got dialed in. That may be the case again here this afternoon. Had some base runners early against Kyle Hendricks. Solid contact, couldn't cash in.
It's Peralta's, the pitch is ready to be delivered. He just makes a little adjustment. Wants the bat straight up in the air, and then he's ready to let loose. Right there. Oh, good change up. 2-2. As you know, I'm a dog person.
Attention, yeah.
It's kind of like the bat is like a dog's ears when it hears something. Like, what? What's that? Ready to pounce. It was a hanger, and he was out in front.
The first 4 guys in this batting order, all high average hitters, all with fairly simple approaches.
He walked him. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Happy Labor Day weekend, everybody. Great to have you with us. Cubs go for the sweep. You're at beautiful Wrigley Field. Big crowd on hand. Cubs without a hit through 3 against Ruby De La Rosa. Diamondbacks have had some chances here against Kyle Hendricks, and that's a curve at 75 on his former battery mate Wellington Castillo.
The line to second last time with Peralta on the move with nobody out.
Hook to left in the corner. It's going to drop down. Peralta racing toward third. Andy Green says, come on home. Relay throw will not be made. Wellington Castillo against his former team gives the Diamondbacks the lead. It's 1-0.
2 good swings for Castillo here today. A line out, and now he finds the left field corner for an RBI double. So he started him curveball for strike 1. That was a little cut changeup, I believe, and just stayed up in the zone.
Well, your theory gaining some momentum here. Former catcher doing some damage. Lamb doubled to right in the second. Off the outside corner. Montero now will head to the mound.
Wood and Cahill head to the bullpen.
Make sure you are with us on Labor Day tomorrow here on WGN Sports. Push for the playoffs starts at 12:30 Central. Dan Roan will join us from Busch Stadium. First pitch at 1:15 between the Cubs and the Cardinals. Dan Herron and Lance Lynn will match up Tuesday night. Jason Hamill and Michael Wacha. John Lester, Carlos Martinez, getaway day on Wednesday.
That's a day game as well. Cubs have not had a lot of success in St. Louis this year. Just 1 win in 7 tries. Still time to plan a group outing during the final homestand of the year. The Cubs offer special ticket packages for groups of 15 or more with exclusive benefit options, including parking and tours of the ballpark. For more information, visit Cubs.com/groups.
Swing and a miss. Struck him out on a changeup. Number 3 for Hendricks. And it's Owings.
First 2 looking, and if he's going to get swings and misses, it's normally going to come on his changeup. That was a dandy.
Ball, no strikes. Well, we are chock full of great Cubs first basemen in the house, either current or former. Anthony Rizzo, Derek Lee, and Mark Grace, the assistant hitting coach of the Diamondbacks. Owings grounds to Russell, who plays it aggressively and gets him. Arizona takes the lead, though, on the Castillo RBI double. It's 1-0 Arizona as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Rios and the Cubs for providing lunch today before the ball game to our television crew. And yes, they can eat. Good stuff. Mazda, conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way. There's Joe Rios. Food stayed warm in the sun, too.
Yeah. I didn't have any of the dessert pizza. I have to check in on that. Cubs need a hit.
Yes, they do. De La Rosa has allowed one base runner. That was a Montero walk in the second inning.
Stuff has been pretty firm here today. 97, 98. There's a little cutter.
Deep right on the track and caught by Inciarte. He and Pollock were there. I'm not sure Pollock had a good read on it. And the Sun as they talk it over.
Inciarte with a look down, finds the wall, finds the track, finds Pollock. You see Pollock here. Yeah, he's lost sight of it.
De La Rosa with his third organization as he works to Chris Coghlan. Signed by the Dodgers in 07, traded to Boston in October of 2012, then traded to Arizona 2 off seasons later. Tommy John surgery in August of 2011. Made his major league debut earlier that season. Ruby is from Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. He did not play organized baseball, but rather a Dominican version of the game of cricket called La Plaquita. Are you familiar?
I'm watching some video of it earlier.
What stands out is that'll go 3-1.
You bounce the ball and try to hit it.
Okay.
What I saw
That
was
sounds
people
like
in
cricket.
the street playing street plaquita. I'm not sure if there's a more formal version. I'm guessing there is. Cub fans, show your Cubby pride with Cubs checking and an official Cubs MasterCard debit card. Only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Member FDIC.
Rizzo with 2 outs. De La Rosa's grandmother nannied for Pedro and Ramon Martinez, and Ruby claims that Pedro taught him his changeup. Lifted in the air to right, but Inciarte will make the grab, and the Cubs being no hit through 4 today, 1-0 AZ. It's time for the 5th inning, and it's brought to you by Fifth Third Bank, the Curious Bank. Kyle Hendricks trailing 1-0. So if we go back to De La Rosa's start against the Cubs on May 23rd, they didn't have a hit through 3 in that game. They picked up 1 hit in the 4th and then scored 4 runs in the 5th. One ball off the bat of Nick Ahmed. Baez takes care of it.
That looked like the swing of a guy who was up there with a man on second and nobody out, and he was just trying to get him over.
De La Rosa lined out in the 3rd. So I was doing a little homework on De La Rosa's hometown, Santo Domingo. A lot of big league players, current and former, from that city. It is a capital of the Dominican Republic. It's its largest city as well. Did you know that Santo Domingo was founded in 1496 by a guy named Bartholomew Columbus, the younger brother of Christopher Columbus?
Did not know that.
De La Rosa is going to reach on a strikeout. And a wild pitch. The 4th strikeout for Hendricks. And this one just got through the legs.
Yeah, it's correctly ruled a wild pitch, but that's on Mickey. He'll tell you he should have knocked that ball down. Bart, good old Bart Columbus, huh? Did not know. Did not know that Christopher Columbus had a.
It is 91 degrees in Santo Domingo, and we're close to that here in Chicago. A big city, about 3 million metro area. I don't know if you've spent much time in the Dominican.
No, I've been there for a couple of exhibition games, and that's it. I hear they have lovely beaches.
Yeah, I would love to go.
Moises Alou call, and he'll set you up.
Carlos Marmol always offered come on down and the horseback riding. Nice play. Oh, glove to hand, and only get 1, but that was nifty. Baez and Russell teaming up.
Gary Pressey breaks into Sweet Georgia Brown. Theme music for the Harlem Globetrotters, for those of you who don't know. This is Globetrotter-like, although possibly worthy of a second guess, because you can't afford to make a mistake there, and not for the quick reaction by Russell. That flip from Baez would have been errant. So style points for sure, but probably not the best way to go about it.
Yeah, but they said that about Curly Neal, too.
You know, if you don't have time, and I guess that's what Javi was thinking, that he's had a legitimate shot for 2.
Now they've got Inciarte caught in a rundown, and that's that. So Hendricks picks him off to end the inning. They're still seeking their first hit, trailing 1-0. season on hand starting tomorrow. It's 11 days. It's 11 games. Off day next Monday, but a makeup doubleheader on the 15th in Pittsburgh. Ford, America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at localfordstores.com. Boy, the Diamondbacks are making outs on the bases. And that has kept this game a close one, 1-0. De La Rosa to Bryant and a strike. What's De La Rosa doing well today?
Well, to me, it's his stuff is really good. His fastball has been upper 90s. He's had pretty good command of it. I haven't really seen that many changeups. You see him mix that in a little bit more as we go along. All right, there, power stuff with good movement.
Board. Wow. 1-1. They're going to score that a hit for Bryant.
Wow. That may be his most impressive yet. Low fastball, just jettisoned out of here. Look at the launch angle. Peralta out there in left field didn't even flinch. Way up off the board.
See the fans in the back row were looking out into Waveland. And the ball actually hit the board. I guess you could give an error to the scoreboard for not catching that ball, but he walloped it. So he has tied the Cubs rookie single season record with his 86th RBI, joining Billy Williams and Giovanni Soto. Ball left the bat 111 miles per hour. In the Southwest Airlines, how far did it fly? 5 feet shy of 500 for Chris Bryant. Wow.
Wow, that might be the longest home run measured this year. No, did Stanton go 5 and change?
He might have, but that was impressive. Two balls, 2 strikes on Montero, and it's a 1-1 game now here in the 5th.
This Cub team does not need a lot of hits to score runs because they hit the ball out of the ballpark and they take a lot of walks. Austin Grimm is getting ready out there in the bullpen. Rosa has surrendered 29 home runs now, second most in the league, just behind Dan Herron.
Dave checks in on Twitter and remembered your guesstimate on Chris Bryant home runs this year, and you guessed 28. Okay.
So I don't remember that.
You seem to be right on the money. I remember when you made that prediction, there were people who thought, he's going to hit 40. Well, up the middle and through. Back-to-back hits to start the 5th. Be 100% correct when it's all said and done.
That's a fine rookie year. You end up with 25 to 30 home runs, drive-in runs the way he has. Pretty much a lock now, I would think, for that Rookie of the Year award. He's won the Rookie of the Month twice now. As we watch Montero's base hit. Lou Lamb, who was over there on the shift.
Well, when you have a season like the Cubs have had, you're going to have some individual awards handed out. Anthony Rizzo is in the MVP race. Would not make him a favorite at this point, but he should finish in the top 5. Chris Bryant, as much a shoo-in, I guess, as any on this list for that award, Rookie of the Year. Jake Arrieta definitely in the Cy Young mix, and I think Joe Madden is going to win Manager of the Year.
Yeah, I think Joe would certainly be right there. Terry Collins would be another one who's going to get a lot of consideration.
So we have confirmation from Peter Chase, Cubs media relations chief, that the 495, that is the longest homer in the majors this year. Baez now with a base hit. So the floodgates have opened. The Cubs went 4 innings without a hit off De La Rosa. A homer and 2 singles, though, to start the 5th, and here comes Mike Harkey.
Yeah, well, second time around, and De La Rosa having not established much other than the fastball early. And if we make mistakes with it, the guys are going to catch up. Trying to go away, drifts over the inside part of the plate. Turn and burn by Baez. The Newborn Fan Club is the perfect gift to showcase what it means to be a Cub for life. Receive a customized photo of the Wrigley Field marquee, a Cubs birth certificate, baby stocking cap, and a Rookie of the Year onesie. Visit Cubs.com/kids today.
Well, with the expanded rosters, you got a deep bullpen, and Kyle Hendricks lifted after 5 innings, 75 pitches, and he could get a win if the Cubs can score here. Tommy La Stella will pinch hit.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you got 2, 3, 4 due up for the Diamondbacks in the 6th inning. They'd be getting their 3rd look at Kyle. It's a smoking hot day, along with all the reasons you mentioned. Understandable that Joe would go for it here. Nobody out, and a couple guys on.
Oh, and 1.
Cubs can score here, take the lead. Kyle Hendricks would be in position to be the winning pitcher. He was last time when he left the ball game. He left with a 5-3 lead in his last start against the Reds. The bullpen struggled in that ball game. The Cubs ended up losing 13-6.
One and 2. Tommy. And those numbers we use, the 495 and the 111 miles per hour exit velocity, courtesy of MLB StatCast, which has been a great technological innovation. One and 2. Count holding on La Stella. Somebody made a grab.
Apparently he did.
That man right there. Launch toward first, diving stop. Goldschmidt gets the out at first. De La Rosa got over to cover. Second and third, 1 out for Russell. What a play by Goldschmidt.
Well, I'll say spectacular play by Goldschmidt, former Gold Glove winner. Made just 3 errors this year, lays out. And and a good accurate feed to De La Rosa covering.
Diamondbacks will move their infielders in. Up the middle, they're in about halfway. Goldschmidt way off the line at first. 1-1 tie. Big moment here in the 5th inning. Swing and a miss.
I think hitters get into this situation sometimes and they tell themselves, well, just shorten up, make sure you put the ball in play. But sometimes forget rule number 1, make sure you get a strike.
Pitchers strike 1 and 2.
Not the strike you want any part of as a hitter. And probably a little generosity there from Hirschbeck.
Montero at third, Baez at second. And the 1-2 on the ground. Diving stop. Runners are going to hold. Safe at first is Russell. Lamb with a nice diving stop. Kept the ball on the infield. It'll be an infield hit. Say, I like the call John Tumpain made at first, JD. Sometimes umpires, they make that quick call. He waited a little bit.
Yeah, he did. He hesitated a beat. Kind of let what he saw sink in before making the call. Lucky he didn't really roll that ankle there. The play might have been second base. You see that replay how far off the base Baez was. They would have had a shot at him. But Lamb also knows that if he looks at Baez, there's no way he's going to get Russell at first base.
So the bases are loaded for Fowler. Cubs went from being no hit, trying to really break this thing open. 4 hits here in the 5th. Yeah, definitely similarities between this outing and the last time De La Rosa faced the Cubs. The wind is blowing out. Kind of day to get it up into the jet stream. Here we go. Ball 1. Two 2-0. This is where Fowler and this offense's ability to not swing at bad pitches really comes in handy.
Yeah, control the moment. Stay calm in a big situation. De La Rosa clearly trying to stay out of the zone here, hoping Fowler will get himself out. lot of room in right center for Fowler.
Diamondbacks are playing for 2 up the middle, but with Fowler's speed, that's easier said than done. Burgos has a ball. Two on the way. Big strikeout for De La Rosa. Fowler has fanned all 3 times. It'll be up to Austin Jackson.
Busts a fastball at 96 miles an hour up in the zone. Gets the swing through from Fowler. Chance for Jackson to be a hero here.
Good look for you, JD.
Let me think about it.
Here's the pitch. Too high.
A good chance here for the new guy to make a big contribution. Get traded over this late in the year. A lot of times players feel like a mercenary, like they're not really part of the team. If you're in a big situation like this, could change things. I know he's very excited to be here.
Shank foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the 28-year-old Austin Jackson, drafted by the Yankees, debuted with Detroit 2010. One. 2-1. De La Rosa laboring.
It feels like De La Rosa's been out there as long this inning as he was in the previous 4. Should be his 81st pitch, his 30th in this inning.
.97 for strike 2. Standing room only this holiday Sunday. So they've been into it all day, ready to erupt as they did when Bryant left the yard. Foul tip, strike 3. He gets out of it. But not before the Cubs not only get on the hit board, but Chris Bryant. It's the longest home run in the big leagues this season. 1-1.
Mid-game in a critical situation with a couple men on base. That's not the case here. There's nobody on base, but it's clearly a critical situation. It's the 6th inning of a tie ball game, and 2-3-4 are scheduled to bat for the Diamondbacks. So Grimm gets the call. 2-4 with a 1.99 ERA as he works for the 51st time. Only hitting 178 against him. Pollock probably feels like the baseball gods owe him a lot of hard contact without results so far in this series.
You know, the Bryant home run really should have counted for like a run and a half, right?
Yeah. You could propose that to the commissioner next time you see him. Bonus points for length. How far down the street is that one bounding if it doesn't hit the board?
Yeah, that's still rolling down Kenmore. Clayton Richard in the bullpen. One to Pollock. Got his attention inside. 2-1. 98 for Grimm.
Pollock, a Notre Dame guy. He enjoyed the football game last night.
Saw a big lead early.
Yeah, they blew him out.
A lot of Texas fans in the ballpark on Friday. Hitters count here for Pollock. And he takes it outside for ball 4. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. One tie. Diamondbacks batting in the 6th inning. Cubs trying to sweep them. Len and JD and our WGN crew. A hot day in the friendly confines. Leadoff walk to Pollock ahead of Goldschmidt. Pollock was caught stealing in the first with Goldschmidt at the plate.
Goldschmidt has a little bit of a unique approach too. You talked about Peralta earlier, the way he lays the bat on his shoulder, then points it skyward as he gets set. Goldschmidt tips that bat way back behind his back in an upright. His body's upright, and then he kind of tilts his body forward to get into his ready position. He lays it way back, and then just before the pitch, he'll kind of stand up straight and watch a pickoff throw go to first. What he'll kind of do.
Nice adjustment.
Goldschmidt got by a lot of scouts. He was an 8th round pick out of Texas State University. This is what I'm talking about. He dips it way back, and then he'll just kind of take his upper body and, well, I promise you he's going to do it. I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but you can just watch it.
We'll let the pictures tell the story.
And kids all over the Phoenix will be doing this because you emulate the best players. The first kid that does it, and his coach hasn't seen Goldschmidt, he'll say, "You can't hit like that." And then we'll show him a picture of Goldschmidt and say, "Never mind."
Yeah, went to high school in your neck of the woods when you lived in the Houston area, the Woodlands.
Yeah, he was a Highlander. where all the children are above average. Caught stealing back in the first. One of 3 base runners lost by the Diamondbacks here this afternoon, but Grimm keeping a close watch on him. Justin worked a scoreless inning Friday.
Right field. Wynn may keep this one fair. It will not. Just out of play. Yeah, the 09 draft you referenced, pretty good draft. Steven Strasburg, Dustin Ackley, 1 and 2. Mike Trout went late in the first round that year, 25th to the Angels. Runner goes, line to right, caught by Jackson, gonna be another double play. Boy, the Diamondbacks, every time they've run today, they've run into an out.
Yeah, it's been an amazing day here at the ballpark. And what do you do if you're Chip Hale? You just throw up your hands. It's not like they're making bad decisions on the bases other than Inciardi being picked off. But here's the caught stealing in the first. The throw by Montero, the pick by Baez. 3-2 count on Castillo. Peralta's on the move. That turns into a line-out double play. Here's the pick at first.
4 times they have sent runners, and all 4 times it's backfired. Now, a mathematician would probably say that that doesn't mean you should stop, right?
Exactly.
And to this point,
probably the mathematician would tell you probably ought to keep going.
Yeah, Peralta pops out, and that's it. Inning over. Leadoff 495-foot home run in the 5th by Chris Bryant. That tied it up. Ruby De La Rosa found a way to get out of a bases-loaded jam later. He is still working here in the 6th. Honda Dream Garage sales event now at your Honda dealer. Been a good run for this Cubs team, and included in the 25 and 10 was a stretch of 21 out of 25. And everybody's been working for the weekend, too. Loverboy, I think, has got a concert coming up with Rick Springfield and Romantics here in town.
Now, last weekend, dropped 2 out of 3 in L.A.
Oakland's blast will twist foul and into the seats.
But the Cubs, you know, they've been really good here at home. 42-28. 6 games better than 500 on the road. And that usually spells success. If you just play around 500 on the road, take care of business at home, you're going to have a good year.
Three balls and a strike to Coghlan.
De La Rosa got out of that inning allowing just the 1 run, but we'll see how big a bite it took out of him, all the pitches he had to throw in this heat.
Ball is up, and Coghlan smacked it on the ground in the center.
Well, Wellington Castillo will say, can't put that on me. He called for the changeup. He called for fastball away. Then he called fastball in. De La Rosa continued to shake him. Finally got to the slider. Coghlan rips it for a base hit.
Rizzo 0 for 2. That's the first hit, the Coghlan single, by anybody among the top 4 hitters in the Cubs order today. One and 0. Burgos up for the second time. They're basically giving Rizzo the bunt toward third with this shift. But now it's 2-0.
Yeah, well, he fell behind Coghlan, behind Rizzo here. Just doesn't trust his fastball, and he's been so fastball reliant here today. I think he feels like Cub hitters are kind of locked in on that heater, and he doesn't want to throw it in the zone. He's found some success with behind the count changeups. He just doesn't utilize it that much. For me, the breaking ball hasn't been a factor at all today for him. He's gotten by with movement and velocity. He's only allowed 1 run. We're in the 6th, so it's not like he's pitching a bad game. But I think he's standing out there right now feeling like a guy who just doesn't have all of his weapons at his disposal right now.
Outfield playing very deep against a home run hitter like Rizzo. Wind blowing out. Outside, 3 balls, no strikes.
Really falling off the first base side, flying open and just letting that ball drift off the plate. Pretty easy take for Rizzo. See if he challenges here on 3-0.
Nope, ball 4.
That'll probably do it for him. With Bryant, he had the 495-foot home run due up.
Comes the manager, Chip Hale. That's it. Burgos will replace De La Rosa. 1-1. Sister of Pearl. Good tune. Here's Chris Bryant facing Enrique Burgos. 2 on, nobody out, and a 1-1 tie.
Burgos, rookie, hard thrower. Throws a mid-90s fastball and a slider. 24 major league appearances this year, a 4.84 ERA. Big strikeout numbers. Walk number a little high. He's a talented guy. Not too long ago this happened. He got a low fastball and pulverized it.
Castillo, runners will advance. Ball bouncing around on the concrete ledge. A wild pitch, second and third.
Tendency to overthrow when you're facing a guy who just hit a 495-foot home run last time up. I'm going to throw this one 170 miles an hour.
Infield will move in. Coughlin at third, Rizzo at second. 2-0 to Bryant.
And probably not a contact situation here for Coghlan with nobody out, just to read the ball off the bat. So the middle infielders will stay about halfway. Force him to make a decision on a ground ball. A slow chopper he might try to score, otherwise he'll stay put. Slider backed up a little bit on Burgos. That one could have ended up in the seats.
So Castillo shakes it off. And the next offering, a 2-1 in the dirt.
Yeah, see, now that would have been a good pitch if we were playing Plaquita. Burgos, 24 years of age. We have 6 rookies that pitched in the game here on Friday. Call the breaking ball you anticipated in the dirt, but not the heater. Two on, young pitcher, hostile environment, 3-1 count. Chris Bryant's holding all the trump cards right now.
Fan got onto the field, taking care of it. Burgos and Castillo talk it over.
Tremendous open field tackle. The fan was brought down in no time. Reminded me of going to see the rodeo down in Houston. We had that guy tied up in less than 8. Meanwhile, out on the man of the conversation as Wellington Castillo tries to guide the young right-hander through it here.
Bryant. He walked in, bases loaded. Chip Hale heading out again. There's the young security man who was stationed outside the Diamondbacks dugout, and he intercepted the wayward fan. Pitching change with Montero due. They're going to bring in a lefty. 1-1.
He has pitched 6 times for the Diamondbacks this year to a 2.84 ERA. 45 appearances with their AAA club and a 5.58 ERA there.
Pitched last year after 2013 Tommy John surgery.
Big league time with the Diamondbacks. A lot of big league time with them in 2011 and 12. Better than 70 appearances each of those 2 seasons.
Well, here's the scenario. A 1-1 tie, bottom 6. The Cubs have 3 on with nobody out, and a former Diamondback at the plate, Miguel Montero. Coughlin, Rizzo, Bryant, third to first are the runners. Ball 1 from the lefty. Jones is 30. And a big dude, 6'5", 240.
Montero 233 this year against left-handed pitching, with a couple of long balls. Be thinking left center here. Make sure you keep that front shoulder in.
In the air to left. It's deep. And it is gone. It's a grand slam. Oh, does that feel good for Montero? 5-1.
Grand slams are getting to be a bit of a habit around here. Third time that Montero has cleared the bases with a grand slam home run. So indeed he did keep that front shoulder closed, and explosive drive to left field. 15th home run of the year for Montero. Everybody on their feet. They want him to come out for a curtain call.
Pitching change. 5-1.
Grand slam, 359 feet. So a wee bit shorter than the Bryant blast, but the timing couldn't have been better.
And you were all over it. Think left center. And we've seen some really impressive opposite field power.
He hit his game winner here in the last homestand out that way.
So Vino Bracho, the new pitcher. De La Rosa, Burgos, Reynolds, Bracho, and still nobody out. They've all worked here in this 6th inning. 1-1 to Baez.
Saw Bracho in the game the other day. Not a big guy, but he's got a lively arm. Likes to elevate that fastball. A sense of Baez's MO here as he's closed up his stance a little bit and he's closer to the plate, as if he's kind of luring the pitcher into trying to go in on him, and then he'll open up that front hip.
Left field and caught by Peralta.
Keep up with the pennant races in true HD quality on MLB.TV Premium. Watch every out-of-market game live on more than 400 supported devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Visit MLB.TV today.
Justin Grimm is the pitcher of record now for the Cubs. And he will be lifted for a pinch hitter. That's Jonathan Herrera, deep to right. Way back into the basket. A home run.
Oh, we've got a variety of home runs here today, don't we? Longest of the year, grand slam, and how about pinch hit?
Tenth career home run for Johnny Herrera.
Boom, boom, boom. Herrera ambushes a first pitch fastball right over the heart of the plate. Nice swing. Number 2 for Herrera this year.
Ball one to Russell. 6-1 Cubs. Just a curtain call that was not requested. I love it. That's maybe a first.
Atta baby. That's beautiful.
There was one fan maybe yelling from the upper deck. At least that's what Jonathan will claim.
He's thinking, what did Montero do that I didn't do? Swung the bat, hit the ball in the seats. Where's my love?
Struck him out. 2 outs. It'll bring up Fowler. They're trying to put one in play. 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. All right, Southwest Airlines, how far did it fly? Jonathan Herrera, 369. That was for his teammates. Somebody said, I dare you to do it. And he said, okay, I'll do it. Two and 0.
This kid Bracho is just 23 years of age. Started the year in A-ball. Spent the bulk of it at Double-A. Did not pitch at Triple-A. Very good strikeout numbers throughout his minor league career. Chance for Fowler now to do some damage.
Fernando Rodney will come out in the 7th. Full count, 3-2.
You're looking to hit on 3-1, but you're not looking to hit that.
Swing and the miss. The 6th inning is over, but a big one for the Cubs. 4 home, courtesy Miguel Montero. Herrera homered as well. 6-1. Welcome back to Wrigley Field. Aside from the fact that the Cubs are winning this game 6-1 at this point, I know it brings back great memories for you.
Oh, absolutely. All the great people you run into on a daily basis here, getting an opportunity to sit up here with you two fine gentlemen. It's always great to come back to Wrigley.
And you still have family here in the area. Cubs leading 6-1 as we go to the 7th. Fernando Rodney will take over. So yeah, you're a grandfather.
Yeah, and loving it. I think this is what I was born to do. It's the greatest. My granddaughter Gemma Rose Priola and my daughter Lacey and Pat, they're out of town for the weekend. It just so happened to be while Grandma and Grandpa were here for the Diamondbacks series, and I'm a good grandpa and a great babysitter.
There's a strike on Wellington Castillo. Your son Michael is bullpen catcher with the Red Sox. I know you're real proud of Michael. He used to catch in the Cubs system. There's the pitch by Rodney. Does he have coaching and managing possibly in his future?
Yeah, I think that's what he would like to do ultimately. You know, Michael was one of those guys that always will have to work a little bit harder and do a little bit more than the next guy to get noticed. He wasn't a high draft pick and didn't really hit a lot throughout his minor league career, but good defensive catcher, kept his ears and his eyes open. That one's fair down the third base line.
Steele will take a big turn, but stop at first.
Yeah, so Michael would like to get into the coaching or managing end of the game somewhere. When the Red Sox offered him the bullpen catcher's job, you know, it's about as close as you can get without actually being a coach. And they've been very good about inviting him into the advanced meetings, the pitcher-catcher meetings, and breaking down video and learning everything he needs to know about hopefully what will be his next profession.
Fits the profile, grew up around the game, understands the game, catcher. I mean, that's you see a lot of big league managers with that with that background.
Well, and rightfully so. Those are the smartest guys on the field.
I heard that rumor.
There's Lamb. And that one misses badly. So I want to say the 93 Giants, right? You were the bullpen coach?
Correct.
JD, you spent a little time in the bullpen.
Yeah, I was traded there in into July or in August. Hung out with that club for a couple months.
How did that feel, winning over 100 games and not making the playoffs?
Well, obviously that was back in the days before the divisions. You just had the East and the West, and man, I can't imagine a better season than the Giants had that year. I mean, they were almost in Tampa Bay the offseason before, and Peter McGowan and his group came in and kept the team in San Francisco, and they went out and spent some money, and Billy Swift and John Burkett both won 20 games. And Barry did what Barry does, and to come down to the final game of the regular season and not go to the postseason after winning 103 ball games was just mind-boggling.
Maybe in some ways, maybe the last great pennant race. You know, there was no wild card. There was no safety net there for whichever one of those clubs that ended up losing, and obviously it was the Giants. David Martinez was on that club as well. Down to the very last day.
And one on Lamb. The Cubs are very fortunate right now that there is that second wild card where they would be out of the mix. Chance to go 21 games over 500, but in third place. 3-2.
Tough division. We've seen the Pirates this year, and obviously the Cardinals just came into Arizona about a week ago and put a 4-game sweep on the Diamondbacks. And you know, you really watch that Cardinals team, and certainly you guys have seen them a lot more than I have, and you kind of scratch your head. How do they do it? How do they do it? Matt Holliday goes down, and Matt Adams goes down, and they just call up guys from the minor leagues, and they hit the ground running, and they never miss a beat.
And they pitch like crazy.
Well, that
rotation depth is, you know, they're in every game, so they don't have to score a lot of runs to win night in and night out.
Trouble here for Rodney. 2 on with nobody out. We've been saying this all weekend, and while Friday was a blowout, yesterday 2-0. This Diamondbacks offense can score runs in bunches. So while it's 6-1, the wind's blowing out. This game is far from over.
The Diamondbacks have been a fun team to watch. Maybe not quite as much fun as your Cubbies this year, but they've already won more games this year than they won all season last year. And the way they've gone about it, they're very athletic. They steal bases. Only the Reds have more stolen bases than the Diamondbacks. They've got some power mixed in the lineup. They've got some high on base percentage guys mixed in there. They play good defense on a daily basis, but unfortunately the pitching staff is very immature, very young, inexperienced, and it shows up in games like today.
Yeah, you watch them play, and you just get the sense that they're a pitcher or two away from being a really good club.
There's Owings, 2 on, nobody out, and low and outside for ball 1.
Our director of baseball operations, Tony La Russa, has made no secret of the fact that the Diamondbacks have some money to spend this offseason, and their number one target is the top of the rotation guys.
Way off the plate inside. We used to talk about Tony, and he was the one guy you always kind of had to pay attention to in the other dugout, and you've gotten to know him. Now he's in a different role. Hall of Fame manager, certainly. Is he enjoying what he's doing?
Just like when he was a manager, he enjoys it after the team wins. You know, we run into him every day at the ballpark, and you ask him, "How you doing, Tony?" He says, "I'll let you know in 3 hours." You know, everything revolves around that game that night, and he had himself a pretty cushy job for MLB and could have very easily just ridden off into the sunset and enjoyed the accolades and all the world championships that he won, but he missed competing. He missed being part of the competition. And if you see him at the ballpark now, he paces around that luxury box during the game and suffers with the team when they lose, and he feels elated when they win.
So let me ask this question then. Is the role he's in now, do you think that's enough for him? Would he contemplate going back down on the field at some point in the future?
That's a good question, and he's been very clear up to this point that he's happy doing what he's doing, and certainly well qualified to do it, and he's very happy with Chip Hale and the job he's done down in the dugout this year. Now moving forward, who knows, but for the time being, I think Tony's very content to be right where he's at.
Finished his career briefly as a Chicago Cub. It's the changeup, the bread and butter pitch for Rodney. Now Nick Ahmed, the shortstop, is grounded out twice. The real question is, are you ready to sing?
I'm always ready to sing, partner. You know that.
Cubs leading 5 big ones in the 6th. A couple of home runs. Strike called.
I think optimistically the Diamondbacks feel they are at a position that the Cubs were in maybe a year or two ago. You're running some young players up here to the major league level to see what they can do, and to see what the needs are moving forward. And they've been very pleased with some of the young players and the way they've gone about their business. And some other guys they feel maybe need a little bit more time, but it's a process. And you know, it took Theo and the guys a while to get everything in order the way they wanted it, and still continue to tweak it on a daily basis. But the Diamondbacks are trying to follow that same model.
It's the outside. 1-2.
I got to tell you guys, I heard some very encouraging news about the renovations here at Wrigley. I heard that there are going to be 14 elevators in this ballpark.
Yeah, I think some people are very ready for that to happen. 2 outs as Rodney strikes out Ahmed.
Put me on that list.
You worked up a nice lather walking up here today.
Woo, this is one of those days, fans. Stay hydrated.
Saltalamacchia, Jared Saltalamacchia will pinch hit with 2 outs.
You stay hydrated, but stay off the field.
Yeah, please. I got to tell you, that was one of the quicker reactions I've ever seen from a security guard. Nice job.
Hey, you had to be very proud of Randy Johnson going into the Hall of Fame. You managed him in Arizona.
Yeah, it's kind of been funny to watch the evolution of Randy Johnson. Of course, Jimmy, you know him well from back in the day, and boy, I guess surly is the word I would use to describe Randy as a player. You know, he didn't care if you liked him or not. He was going to go out there and compete, and he would snarl and he would swear, and he get very upset when his team didn't score runs for him or didn't make plays behind him. But I think he's at peace now. You know, he finally was able to step away and put the competitive part of baseball away and look back and really enjoy all the accomplishments, the wonderful accomplishments that he had over the course of his career. And you know, now we see him at Chase Field, and he's got a big smile on his face, and he's signing autographs and posing for pictures and
taking pictures too, right?
Yeah, traveling all over the world, taking pictures and posting them on his Instagram. I can't tell you exactly what it is.
All right, time to sing.
Right.
And the stretch with Bob Brenly is brought to you by Budweiser.
Today's guest conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, former Cubs broadcaster Bob Brenly.
All right. You know what to do. Sing it loud. Make Harry proud. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. Root, root, root for the. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old.
Momenter, a veteran, certainly compared to most of the guys coming out of this Diamondback bullpen these days. 4-6 with a 394 earned run average. Right over the top delivery. Cut fastball. He'll throw a ton of cutters.
Facing Austin Jackson. Pitch. It's a strike. It's 1-1.
He's made 12 starts this year.
He was their opening day starter. In fact, 2-1. Trevor Cahill, a former Diamondback. And 3-1. Out into left center. There's a gapper for Jackson. And an easy double. Let's start to the Cubs' 7th.
Hitless through 4, now 8 base hits after the 4th. The Diamondback pitchers falling behind routinely here in the last couple innings. The Cub hitters making them pay the price.
Ball one on Coughlin.
Throw that fastball 84 to 86 miles an hour, typically with a little cutting action, straight change, and a curveball. Started Coughlin with the changeup. See a lot of that, a lot of righties with the changeup to Coughlin. He's usually on the fastball.
Wynn's going to get hold of this one and send it to the warning track where Peralta makes the grab. Jackson tagging. And he'll slide in safely at third.
Now the next time you head to the game, the Cubs suggest public transportation. Or you can ride your bike. There's a bike check there at Clark and Addison. And if you drive your car, the Cubs provide free parking and shuttle service on night weekend games from 3900 North Rockwell. For details, visit Cubs.com.
There's Rizzo, and the infield has to come in. So this is starting to feel like a laugher, but far from it, as the Cubs trailed in this game, and they didn't have a hit through 4. 5th and 6th, though, a ton of pressure put on the Diamondbacks pitchers and put up a 5 spot, including a grand slam in the 6th.
Yeah, and that's an important run down there at third base. Joe Madden wants his guys to continue to add on because he'd like to stay away from Strop and Rondon here today. Not that they've been overused of late, but anytime you get a big lead like this, that's your thinking. Keep those guys as fresh as possible. Frisky, I believe, is Joe's term.
Yeah.
So you want as many frisky, high leverage relievers available for the upcoming road trip.
Hit Rizzo.
Hirschbeck's calling it a swing.
John Hirschbeck is calling it a swing, yeah. I think they may have gotten this one wrong, too. Without looking at the replay. We saw Ahmed earlier get hit. It was declared that he was bunting at the pitch. No.
No, it's not a swing.
That's...
And he didn't rule foul ball. I mean, that would be a more understandable call to think that it hit the bat instead of the arm. I don't know. Joe probably doesn't mind that Rizzo's still hitting the man on third.
Right. Oh, foul. The other direction. 41, 183 in attendance. Will take that one home.
In and out they go. Now they're going to take a shot inside.
Back to Colementor. So 2 outs. Here's Bryant. And a 3 true outcome afternoon. Strikeout, a home run, and a walk. 2 runs scored.
Bryant striding up there. Castillo out to talk with Colementor about their approach with 2 outs. How aggressive do they want to be? Where are they going to go to try to get him out?
Fly to right. And Ciarte over near the foul line. Little leap. He makes the catch in foul territory, and the inning comes to an end. Cubs lead 6-1 going to the 8th. Starts at 12:30 Central here on WGN Sports with Dan Roan, and then Cubs and Cardinals kick off a 3-game series. Chris Denorfia in for Chris Coughlin in left. Sinker baller Trevor Cahill in the pitch.
Trevor, limited big league time this year, 16 appearances between his time with the Braves and the Cubs, 7.07 ERA. 3 seasons with the Diamondbacks, mostly as a starting pitcher. And 13 games for the D-backs in 2012. Last year, he split time in the bullpen and in the rotation.
Ciarte flies to Norfield. So some finals. Yankees beat the Rays 6-4. A-Rod with another home run, his 28th. Toronto got blasts from Bautista, Tulowitzki, and Pilar in a 10-4 win over Baltimore. Keeps the Jays a game and a half ahead of the Yankees. Cleveland shut out Detroit 4-0. Comerica.
Doesn't A-Rod have to win the comeback player award?
Without thinking about other guys on the list, I would say yes. Trying to think of some other candidates, but I can't at the moment. Cody Anderson over Justin Verlander, who was pretty good today for the Tigers. 7 innings, 3 runs, but took the loss. Pollock strikes out. How about Mark Teixeira, his teammate?
That's true. Yeah.
Matt Harvey in the National League. Breaking ball strike, 0-2. And Goldschmidt. Sox leading again in Kansas City, 7-5 in the ninth. Cahill makes quick work of his former team. 6-1 Cubs. In 2015, and even more so over the last month or so, the way this team is playing. Right now poised to jump into the playoffs for the first time since 2008. Leading big here as they go for the sweep, and the man who gave them the lead will step in.
Perfect day for Montero so far. Walk, single, home run, grand slam home run at that. Also threw out a would-be base stealer.
Against the shift, surrounded by Ahmed, and he has time. Twitter followers nominating Prince Fielder. AL Comeback Award race. He only played 42 games last year. All-Star this season. Pitch. Baez looks at a strike.
Yeah, the Prince hitting .313, 18 home runs. On base at .380, it's slugging at .470.
Chris Davis. He hit .196 last year. Yeah, so you have.
So the people who don't want to vote for A-Rod, they've got a lot of options.
Yeah, I mean, you've got guys who were bad last year and are good this year. You've got guys who were injured last year and are good this year. And then you have A-Rod in his own separate category. Suspended last year. 2 outs. I guess I'd give it to A-Rod, and taking the other stuff out of it. The fact that he's playing in his 39/age 40 season and putting up these numbers. Many thought his career was over. The north field to right, fair ball, all the way into the corner. And he'll slide in safely at second.
This is not a pinch hit at bat. He came in for defense, but his first AB today, doubles into the corner. Herrera pinch hit a home run last time.
So a positive development. We saw Javi Baez earlier strike out. It was a called third. He has had 18 plate appearances since he came up, 3 strikeouts, and the caught looking. Not the end of the world. The Cubs are leading 6-1, but he's not flailing wildly at pitches like we saw last year. It's a very small sample size.
Yeah, he's had a couple swings where you kind of say, but yeah, for the most part, he's been more disciplined.
Ball strike to Russell. Fouled off, out of play, 0-2. Shot left field. Peralta's got it. That'll take us to the 9th. Cubs go for the sweep, leading by 5.
Tonight, don't forget tomorrow our special presentation, Push for the Playoffs.
Playoffs?
Cardinals tomorrow. Playoffs? Talking playoffs? Dan Roan will be here. Should be fun. 12:30 mañana.
Dan Roan will join us from St. Louis. You know, you guys kind of sound alike.
I've heard that. Well, he's got a lovely speaking voice.
Cahill trying to finish off the Diamondbacks. 0-2 on Peralta. Pirates at Cardinals tonight. Giants are tied 2-2 at Colorado, top of the 4th. Washington beat up on Atlanta 8-4 the final. Bryce Harper at his 34th. Worth and Rendon also homered for the Nationals.
So note that Harper has reached 20 times his last 27 plate appearances.
Sounds like Joey Votto. Called strike 3. 3 consecutive punch-outs for Cahill. We haven't seen him get a ground ball here, but he could be an intriguing October possibility in terms of the ability to come in and get a ground ball. So far, missing bats and
a little giddy up on that one. Bullpen has been tight today. Grimm, Rodney, Cahill, good work.
Castillo crushes one to the bleachers in left center. That's got to feel very good for Welly. Homering against his former team here at Wrigley Field. He's got 3 hits today, and it's 6-2.
Well, Montero got his former club, and Castillo's had a great day. I mean, he's been on it all day long. That's his 3rd hit today. He lined out his first at bat. That line out turned into a double play in the second. So hit it on the screws that time, and then he's gone double, single, and now long home run. Number 18 for Castillo.
Marlins got a game-ending sac fly by Martin Prado to beat the Mets.
Yeah, Justin Bour hit a home run in the 8th to tie that ball game. And Prado walked them off, so the Nationals just 4 back of the Metropolitans now.
Back-to-back changeups. Second one getting a swing and a miss. First one a called strike. Fastball that time. Up and in, 2-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3.
Great action on that pitch.
Breaking ball, strike on Owings. White Sox swept the Royals in Kansas City, 7-5 the final today. 1-1 in the dirt. Not a huge deal for the Royals. Biggest lead in baseball. A dozen games going into today. And it'll stay that way as the Twins lost in Houston. 3-1. Owens went around. Full 3-2.
John Hirschbeck is smoking hot back there, and he's just trying to finish this one off. I don't blame him.
Joe's going to make a change. He wants Strop. Pedro Strop will replace Trevor Cahill with 2 outs here in the 9th. Cubs leading 6-2. We'll be back.
For the 64th time. Only the 4th time in the last couple of weeks.
Ahmed, strike 1 on the heater.
First appearance in this series. Last worked on Wednesday against the Reds.
Fly ball out in the deep left center. Denorfia back on the track. It is gone. A home run. They've hit 2 of them here in the 9th inning, and it's 6-4.
And when that ball was first hit, I started to pack up. I didn't think he got that one. Obviously, the wind is blowing out here today. And clearly, Ahmed got enough of it. Well, that quieted the crowd.
There may be some more action in the bullpen.
It's one thing to see a ball come off the bat like that of a guy like Bryant or Goldschmidt or Rizzo, real slugger. But a guy like Ahmed, you see the ball leave the bat with that trajectory, you think, no way is that leaving the ballpark.
Bill Gosselin is trying to get on, bring the tying run to the plate. Hector Rondon is up. And this crowd quieted here. Tying run is Inciarte in the on-deck circle, but now 2 strikes for the pinch hitter Gosselin. Swing and a miss on the quick pitch. Cubs win. They sweep them. Diamondbacks got 3 in the 9th, but Strop gets that final out. And it's now off to St. Louis.
Well, it took the Cubs a little while to get rolling here this afternoon. No hit through 4, but once they got going, very impressive stuff. And there you see the National Wild Card standings with the completion of this ball game. 2.5 now behind the Pirates.
Number down to 20 to clinch a playoff spot. Cubs finish a homestand 4-2 and the sweep of the Diamondbacks. And we'll have more from Wrigley Field. Final score, Cubs 6, Diamondbacks 4.